But I'm also fine with saying what I gotta say. And then if y'all still believe the lie, then that's fine too. But how about this? Let's just stop leaking stuff. Let's just stop leaking stuff, y'all. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I don't want to feel, I'm about to keep talking about this, and I also don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Like, oh my God, I have a movie coming out. That means a fake rumor is about to come out. Another thing about the divorce is about to come out. Okay, I have this movie coming out. Oh God, and we're just waiting for something to, it's too much. It's too much.
Stop scrolling for a second and picture this. Inside a courtroom so silent you could hear every breath. The weight of tension hung heavy. Cameras flashed outside, and whispers echoed through the walls, while all eyes were fixed on one woman, who had always carried herself with poise and strength. Teyana Taylor, known for her fierce presence, sat at a wooden table, her hands clenched tightly as if holding on to the last of her composure. But in that moment, something shifted. The unshakable walls she had built came crumbling down, and for the first time, she let the world see her break. Tears streamed down her face, her voice cracked under the pressure, and even the judge, someone who had seen countless cases, leaned back in shock as the courtroom felt the gravity of her truth. This wasn't about headlines, music, or image anymore. This was about motherhood, about a woman fighting with every ounce of strength to keep the bond with her children alive. She spoke through the trembling of her voice about sleepless nights spent worrying, the milestones she missed, the birthdays that passed with an ache in her heart, and the sacrifices that came with being a mother balancing her career without a safety net. Her honesty wasn't rehearsed, it was raw and unfiltered, and it pierced through the silence as she confessed her flaws, admitted her struggles, but reminded everyone in the room of her sacrifices. Every hard choice, every long night, every tear was for her children. On the other side sat Iman Shumpert, collected but visibly tense, his posture sharp, his jaw tight, and the air between them thick with history. For months, the world had speculated about their battle, with rumors and whispers filling blogs, but none of it compared to what unfolded when the opposing lawyer slid a sealed envelope across the table. Inside was a document no one expected, something hidden that shifted the entire case. And when the judge read it aloud, the atmosphere cracked open. Teyana collapsed into her hands, sobbing uncontrollably, the weight of the revelation too heavy to bear. It wasn't about fame or money, it was about the children, about truths that had been buried, about who had truly been present when it mattered most. The judge, momentarily speechless, leaned back in his chair as the courtroom absorbed the revelation, and in that moment, it became clear this was no longer just a custody battle. It was the unraveling of two lives, a family torn apart, and a reminder that behind the glamour and spotlight are human beings fighting battles that cut deeper than any headline ever could. The lawyers stumbled over their words, scrambling to adjust their strategies, while Iman, for the first time that day, allowed his carefully maintained composure to crack as his eyes darted toward Teyana, his lips parting as if to speak though no sound came. And in that instant, the entire power dynamic of the courtroom shifted dramatically, with Teyana, once viewed as emotional and fragile, suddenly standing at the center of the storm, not as a victim, but as a mother whose truth had finally been laid bare. Outside those walls, the world erupted instantly as social media caught fire with hashtags, fan theories, and endless debates, with clips of Teyana's breakdown circulating in real time, sparking both praise for her courage and criticism that she was using emotion as a weapon in the battle. And while opinions divided sharply, the collective conversation grew louder than ever, with everyone asking the same haunting question: what did this revelation mean for the future of her children? Back inside the courtroom, the judge, who had seen countless cases in his career, knew he could not deliver a ruling that day, and his stern reminder cut through the noise. No matter how famous or wealthy either party was, this case was not about them, not about pride, not about egos, but about the children, their well-being, their stability, and their future, which had to outweigh every headline, rumor, or scandal. The gavel's sharp strike echoed like thunder, adjournment leaving behind a silence more suffocating than any verdict. And in that stillness, Teyana sat frozen before slowly rising, her movements heavy as though carrying the weight of every sleepless night. Her eyes bloodshot, makeup smudged, not vanity lost but the raw face of a mother in agony, clutching her lawyer's arm as though it were a lifeline while exiting the room. Behind her, Iman remained motionless, staring at the empty chair where she had sat moments earlier, jaw clenched, fists tight, yet his eyes hollow, reflecting the realization that this battle was no longer about proving a point, but about survival, emotional, parental, and perhaps, if he allowed it, redemption. The heavy wooden doors closed with a thud that echoed through their lives, sealing the chapter not with closure or peace, but merely the end of round one, and what a brutal round it had been. Teyana's emotional collapse on the stand had stunned everyone, judge, lawyers, and even Iman, because she hadn't just cried, she had shattered, and through her sobs, she revealed nights of loneliness, pleas unheard, and the story of a home once filled with love now haunted by resentment. And in doing so, she turned the courtroom from a battleground into a confessional, with every tear serving as testimony. Iman had arrived polished and ready to fight, flanked by a high-profile legal team and the confidence of a man used to controlling his image. But even he hadn't expected the rawness of her truth. And perhaps something inside him cracked too, not necessarily because he believed every word, but because he recognized the pain in her voice. The same pain that lingered in his own heart, when he stared at photos of his children and wondered if they would one day see him differently. That's the reality of this fight. It's not about fame, not about fortune, not about accusations of who left whom, but about two flawed, complicated, human parents holding on desperately to the most precious thing in their lives, their children. And in that kind of war, there are no trophies, no heroes, only wounds. The public sees the headlines, Teyana shatters on the stand, Iman stays silent, blogs dissect every glance, fans choose sides, and the internet spins narratives like a storm. But what the public doesn't see are the children caught in the middle, the bedtime stories interrupted by court orders, the birthday candles blown out under the shadow of legal disputes, and the whispered wishes of kids who just want their parents to stop fighting. So what happens next? The streets are buzzing with speculation. Will the judge lean toward Teyana after her emotional testimony? Or will Iman return with evidence, with secrets, with strategies designed to flip the case in his favor? Or, perhaps, could this be the breaking point, the moment both finally realize that co-parenting isn't about who wins in court, but about what the children truly need to grow without being scarred by the chaos around them? Because when they step back into that courtroom again, the stakes will not only be legal but deeply personal, every word weighed down by years of love, betrayal, history, and heartbreak. And the frightening truth is that no one, not the fans, not the blogs, not even Teyana, or Iman themselves, can predict how this story will end.